Ready to step off the map from the most hidden alleyways to the stories nobody told you? Uncharted Alleyways begins now. Your definitive guide and travel podcast, culture, adventure, and the world as you've never heard it. Tune in, disconnect from the obvious, and come explore with us. Uncharted Alleyways, your next trip starts here.
So welcome to today's deep dive. And, we're looking at a travelogue today that really flips the traditional script on visiting a major global metropolis.
Yeah, it completely inverts it.
Right. Because you think about London, the underground transit system alone moves like roughly 4 million people every single day.
It's massive.
The entire infrastructure of the city is just defined by speed, efficiency, and this relentless roaring forward momentum.
Oh, absolutely.
So it presents this massive paradox, right?
Yeah.
When you realize that the only way to actually conquer this metropolis or truly understand it is to figure out how to sit entirely still.
Yeah, which is so hard for people to do because the instinct for most people arriving in a major global capital is to match the velocity of their environment.
You get off the plane and you're rushing.
Right. You have spreadsheet, you've got a color-coded map, and you have this super active plan to sprint from Big Ben to the London Eye.
Yep, the classic tourist marathon.
But that high-stress metropolitan experience, it usually just results in sensory overload. Like, it leaves you needing a vacation to recover from your vacation.
Which is exactly why the source material we're diving into today is so compelling for anyone planning a trip or honestly, just anyone insanely curious about urban exploration.
Because it's a masterclass in the art of slow travel.
Right, in one of the loudest cities on Earth. So, okay, let's unpack this, because I am fascinated by the mechanics of how this actually works. We're not talking about just avoiding the city, right?
Right, not at all.
We're talking about finding its hidden emergency brakes. The underlying argument here is that the longer you stay in London, the more it begins to feel like a hometown. But only if you know how to decode its quietest layers.
Yeah, and that decoding process, it basically begins by stepping off the main thoroughfares. You have to find the city's alternative arteries.
So we're moving away from the double-decker buses.
Exactly, because if you want to alter your psychological baseline in this hyper-urban environment, you actually have to change the physical stimuli, which brings us to Little Venice.
Oh, I love Little Venice.
Right. It's this residential neighborhood where the asphalt is literally replaced by water.
It's like this whole network of tree-lined canals right in the middle of the city. But what really interests me is the physiological effect this has on you.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, you aren't just looking at pretty, brightly colored narrow boats permanently moored along the water.
Right.
By swapping the sound of a roaring diesel bus for the sound of ducks gliding across the water or water lapping against a hull, you basically force an internal tempo shift.
Exactly the point. The ambient noise of a canal actually forces a drop in your cortisol levels.
Really?
Yeah. So when you grab a coffee and you just sit on a bench in Little Venice, your brain has to reconcile this fascinating contradiction.
Because you're still in London.
You are physically located in the center of one of the world's most influential, bustling economic engines. But the sensory inputs you're getting, like the ducks, the sway of the boats, the flower-filled paths, the lack of tire noise, they all belong to a rural village.
Wow.
So it artificially slows your internal metronome.
That makes total sense. But water isn't the only way London engineers silence, right? The built environment itself has these built-in acoustic dead zones.
Oh, definitely.
Like the material highlights this uniquely London phenomenon known as the Mews.
The Mews are incredible.
They really are. They're these historic carriage houses hidden down alleyways behind the massive grand homes in neighborhoods like Kensington and Notting Hill and Belgravia.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the architectural evolution.
Right.
Because we look at a Mews today with its cobblestone lanes and climbing ivy and, bicycles leaning against brick walls, overflowing window boxes.
They're gorgeous, highly photogenic.
So photogenic.
Yeah.
And they're highly sought after, incredibly expensive residences now. But Victorian architects didn't design them for charm.
No, they were totally functional.
Right. They designed them as utility spaces to house horses, carriages, and stable hands.
Because the grand houses, they wanted the smell and the noise of the horses completely isolated from their pristine front doors.
Exactly.
So they basically buried these service roads behind the main streets. It's like finding a secret peaceful level in a chaotic video game hidden right behind the main boss stage of the busy streets,
I love that analogy, and in doing so, they accidentally engineered the perfect modern retreat.
just by using bricks.
Basically, yeah. By creating these enclosed, brick-lined corridors tucked behind rows of towering townhouses, they made physical barriers to modern sound waves.
Oh, wow.
The brick absorbs the acoustic balance of the city traffic, so when you take a random turn off a chaotic road and step into a Mews, the sudden drop in decibels is, it's jarring.
It's like someone hit the mute button.
Exactly. It's this organically created sanctuary hidden in plain sight. They feel like tiny hidden villages.
But here is where the friction of slow travel really comes in, I think. If these Mews are hidden, they aren't plastered on billboards.
No, not at all.
You generally have to discover them entirely by accident. Yet, if you're glued to a GPS on your phone, trying to optimize your route to the next museum, you will just walk right past the alleyway.
Which is the fatal flaw of destination-driven travel.
Right.
Accidental discovery requires you to surrender a certain amount of efficiency. You have to allow yourself to just wander inefficiently, to stumble into a Mews.
Okay, I can see how shifting from consuming famous sites to actually participating in the daily rhythm works in the center, but the alleys and the Mews are still ultimately made of concrete and brick.
Sure.
At a certain point, no matter how quiet the alley is, the human brain needs an actual horizon to decompress.
It does, which is why the geographical strategy of slow travel eventually pushes you out of that dense core and up to the north, specifically to a neighborhood called Hampstead.
Hampstead is fascinating. It operates like this independent village that just refused to be assimilated when Greater London swallowed everything else.
Exactly. The corporate chain stores just disappear.
It's all independent bookstores, family-run cafes, historic pubs, and traditional bakeries.
Yeah, it invites wandering without constantly checking the time. And the urban planning itself changes there.
How so?
Well, the streets wind and curve, which actively forces you to slow your physical walking pace. There's no straight line to sprint down.
It breaks that grid mentality.
Right. But the true psychological function of traveling to Hampstead isn't just the village itself. It's the massive, untamed green space sitting right on its edge, which is Hampstead Heath.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If you're listening to this and you only have a few days in London, isn't traveling all the way north just to see a village and walk through some grass a waste of your limited vacation time?
I hear that a lot.
Right, why trade the Tower of London for a walking trail?
Because you cannot fully comprehend the density and scale of London's urban core while you're trapped inside of it.
Okay, fair point.
When you walk through Hampstead Heath, and by the way, this is not a manicured city park.
No, it's wild.
It is wildly natural. You've got woodland trails, rolling hills, open meadows, quiet ponds where locals jog and read. But when you eventually reach the higher elevations...
That's a mid-hill.
Yes. The payoff for that hike is the viewpoint. From that elevation, you get this uninterrupted panoramic view of the London skyline.
It's incredible.
You see the hyper-modern skyscrapers rising up in the distance, but your foreground is just expansive, untamed green fields.
So the purpose of the excursion isn't just to look at trees. It's about perspective.
Exactly.
It's the ultimate visual representation of how the city beautifully balances nature with modern urban life.
It synthesizes the entire experience. Experiencing that friction between an ancient woodland and a hyper-modern financial district, that is a much more profound understanding of the city than just, ticking a medieval castle off a checklist.
That really reframes the whole concept of a must-see attraction.
It really does.
Now, we've talked extensively about manipulating your physical geography to find these quiet moments.
Yeah.
But to truly pull the emergency brake, you also have to manipulate time.
Yes.
And obviously, we can't talk about time in Britain without addressing afternoon tea.
It is the cornerstone of the daily rhythm. But the critical distinction the source makes here is that you do not need an expensive luxury hotel reservation to engage with this.
Right.
A neighborhood tea room is just as wonderful. It offers the exact same mechanical benefit.
And the mechanics of it are really what caught my attention, because here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The popular conception of afternoon tea is focused entirely on the culinary aesthetic, right?
Oh, sure.
The freshly baked scones, delicate finger sandwiches, the small cakes.
Sounds amazing right now.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But the food is essentially just an anchor for the actual event. I look at the ritual of afternoon tea,
Yeah.
and I see a socially mandated, forced meditation built right into the middle of a busy British day.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. The physical constraints of the ritual literally dictate your behavior.
Oh, so.
Well, think about it. You are dealing with scalding hot liquid served in highly fragile, elegant china.
Right.
You cannot consume it quickly. You can't take it to go in a paper cup while running for the tube.
It strips away the ability to multitask. It forces you to sit down, focus on the immediate tactile experience, share a conversation with the person across the table from you.
Exactly. It's a tradition of slowing down, just existing for an hour.
And that philosophy of the pause can be applied to the macro timeline of your entire trip, right?
Definitely.
Like the source talks about a local secret for experiencing the city without the crushing weight of its crowds, which is exploiting its timeline.
Early Sunday mornings.
Yes. Waking up early on a Sunday and heading down to Covent Garden or the South Bank before the city even wakes up.
The city at that hour is in this incredibly vulnerable state.
It's beautiful.
The cafes are just opening up, the street cleaners are prepping the sidewalks, and that soft morning light reflecting off the River Thames completely changes the visual texture of the stone buildings.
But it's not just the visuals, is it? It's the acoustic bandwidth.
What do you mean?
Well, during the day, the baseline hum of traffic drowns out everything else. But on a Sunday morning, you suddenly have this ability to notice the architecture, and you can actually hear birdsong in the middle of the city.
Yeah, the favorite version of London for many travelers isn't the loudest, but the most peaceful.
Right.
It's a lesson in mindful travel. You shift from being a consumer navigating a crowd to an observer watching a city in its quietest state.
Okay, so we've established this philosophical framework for slowing down. We found the hidden waterways, the Mews, and we sought out the horizons, and we've weaponized tea to force a pause.
I love weaponized tea.
It works, but on a purely practical level, navigating a metropolis of this scale requires interacting with its heavy machinery. You have to use the transit system.
Right.
You have to engage with the institutions. How do you practically achieve this Zen state without getting overwhelmed or, honestly, without annoying the locals?
Well, it starts by rethinking how you consume institutions like museums. London offers a unique advantage here.
The free entry.
Exactly. The permanent collections of many major museums are entirely free to enter.
That is a massive paradigm shift.
It really is.
Because when you pay a steep entry fee at a major global museum, you instantly inherit what I call museum guilt.
Oh, absolutely.
You feel this crushing financial pressure to stay inside that building for 6 hours, read every single informational plaque, and just exhaust yourself to ensure you got your money's worth.
It turns history and art into a grueling marathon. But when admission is free, that financial pressure evaporates.
You could just drop in.
Right. The slow travel approach allows you to walk into a massive museum, spend maybe an hour looking exclusively at one wing that genuinely interests you, and then walk right back out.
It changes the dynamic from an obligation to just a casual conversation with history. Now, getting to those museums usually requires the underground. It makes getting around easy, assuming you have comfortable walking shoes. But there's also an etiquette to it, right?
Yes. If there is one mechanical rule that defines the fluid dynamics of London, it is the escalator rule.
Oh, this is crucial.
When you are standing on an escalator in the tube network, you must stand on the right side.
Always the right side.
The left side is strictly for those who are walking.
I think of the underground as this giant vascular system. Standing on the right isn't just a polite suggestion. It is a critical necessity to prevent an urban blood clot.
That's a great way to put it.
Because when you have millions of local commuters pumping through those tunnels, if you block the left lane, it causes a literal backlog that ripples through the whole station.
It's the one moment where the slow traveler must defer to the speed of the city. You observe the machine, but you don't jam its gears. It's just basic mindfulness. Use a simple "excuse me" and a smile.
Which brings us to a piece of advice from the source that almost sounds counterintuitive.
Yeah.
The overarching mandate is basically, don't try to see everything.
Right.
The author explicitly tells us to leave yourself a reason to return.
Yes.
So what does this all mean? Why intentionally leave gaps in your itinerary instead of trying to optimize every single minute of the trip?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is about giving yourself the psychological permission to actually inhabit the present moment.
Okay, unpack that.
Attempting to complete London is impossible. It's exhausting. But people certainly try.
Oh yeah, they build these massive spreadsheets.
And in doing so, they experience nothing but the stress of transition moving from point A to point B.
So by accepting you won't see it all.
You neutralize that anxiety. You don't feel guilty about spending 2 uninterrupted hours watching the narrow bites in Little Venice because you aren't mentally calculating the time you're losing at Westminster Abbey.
You accept you'll return, which allows you to actually experience the trip you are currently on.
Exactly.
The source also recaps lessons from other cities, right? Like Athens for ideas, Rome for history, Florence for creativity, Venice for curiosity.
Right. And London's unique lesson is that history doesn't stand still.
That incredible coexistence.
Yes. You have ancient, centuries-old churches sitting shoulder to shoulder with cutting-edge modern architecture and innovation. You have quiet gardens just steps away from frantic transit hubs.
London really welcomes everyone and accommodates every possible pace.
It does. And speaking of incredible cities, the source leaves us with a stark contrast for our next deep dive.
Yes, we're crossing the English Channel next time.
Yeah.
The focus shifts to Paris, France, the City of Light.
It's going to be fascinating to break down the architectural differences there.
Definitely. Because unlike London's sprawling evolution, Paris offers grand, meticulously planned boulevards, riverside walks along the Seine, and hidden bakeries. A completely different philosophy on how a city functions.
I'm really looking forward to that.
So to summarize our journey today, mastering a metropolis doesn't require matching its velocity.
No, it doesn't.
You master it by seeking out hidden mews and quiet waterways. You leave the center to find a natural horizon at Hampstead Heath. You use the constraints of afternoon tea to force a pause, and you exploit the quiet of Sunday mornings.
And above all, you stand on the right side of the escalator.
Always stand on the right.
You know, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We've spent this time discussing how London rewards you when you slow down and it begins to feel like home. But think about your actual home for a moment.
Okay.
How often do you rush through your own city, treating it exactly like a busy tourist would?
Oh, wow. We all do that. We just memorize the commute and become totally blind to our own neighborhoods.
Exactly. So this weekend, what if you applied this slow travel mindset to your own hometown?
I love that idea.
Wake up early on a Sunday to hear the birds, find a hidden street you've never walked down, see if your own city reveals a secret personality that it was keeping just for you.